There being no further consideration, I propose to put the question on the whole motion. And the question is that those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
An act to impose a levy to be known as electronic transfer levy on electronic transfers to enhance revenue mobilization by broadening the tax base and to provide for related matters.
Honorable members, the Electronic Transfer Levy Bill 2021 duly read the third time and passed.
Kojo, during the period of this in 2022, what was the rave on social media regarding this tax? And then following that, since it's been deployed, what's been your observed reactions from people?
Well, from the beginning, when the conversation started around this, people opposed it. This was an unpopular policy introduced by the government.
You think so?
Majority of Ghanaians were against this. But you see, this is how the political system is set up in this country. No matter how we sit on social media and rant, the political class will have their way. And that is what happened. You see, people ranted, people took to social media, various platforms to vent their spleen, vent their displeasures about this tax. Because as the man said in the interview, you heard me say, why are you trying to tax impoverished people? You understand? I don't know if I got that word
right. You got it right.
Yeah, maybe it will take me go and things. But yes. And you see, that is the issue. But then, no matter how we go sit on social media and run, these people will just go and, you see, when the issue popped up for them to pass in parliament, bro, they are done. When things like this they happen, they will have their way, although it is unpopular, and this is why this was unsuccessful. When they introduced, they said they were going to raise, they estimated the revenue that they will get from
6 billion.
Where the money they came back to tell us, say, oh, the money they know the seat
600 and something.
You see, so and now they came back to say people are not paying it. How do you introduce a policy without even, closing the loopholes? People found way around it. People evaded it. It means you people didn't think this through. You just wanted, it was just vibes and inshallah. And that is, we see, and, you people came out, we are going to close the toll booth. We are going to, now right now people are telling us, bro, this is like, I don't want to use some words, but you see, the unseriousness about some of these things, they vex. You can't just wake up, and you see people complain, and that's the thing, we'll get used to it. Right now, we pay it. When you send money, it's nothing, because it's not maybe 10 CD or 20 CD.
But the numbers that were targeted have reduced. That's the reality. Is it because government did not listen to the people? That is why you look at those who tend to use electronic platforms to undertake transactions, decided not to use it, or it is because they think that in reality, when I'm paying that initially 1.5, now reduced, it is heavy for me.
Yeah, as I said, people found loopholes. Yes. People found ways.
But is it because they did the calculation and thought, or they were just annoyed that government wanted to collect the money?
Yeah, you see, there was this argument. There is this argument that was resounding on social media. Taxing the people will be the issue. What do they use the money for? Every Ghanaian has that question, okay, you are taking this money. You said you are going to raise this amount of money. What are we is it going to reflect in the infrastructure of the country? Is it going to reflect on the roads? Our roadways, sometimes you check the potholes on the roads. You choose the one to enter. Have you seen the motorway? You see, there are a lot of things in this country that they have not fixed, and you come and stand here and tell me that, I want to tax you, I want you to pay more money. So that what? People ask questions. People were against it. They didn't listen. And people found ways around it. There are people who prefer to carry the cash. People were let me just put the money under my bed. It was like a deliberate attempt just to tell the government that, okay, you said you are going to charge us, you are going to tax us. Okay, we will have our way around it. And that is what happened. And now we are back to square one. They say they are going to bring back the toll booth and blah, 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 blah. I just don't know what is happening. How do you introduce a policy, like a tax policy like this, and it's like, we could just go, Ghanaians, they will complain on social media, at the end of the day, they will stop.
what has been the end result or effect on the perception that people have about this government in relation to just raising taxes and whether the concerns they have, whether it's a perception or reality about what those tax handles and the collections thereof are used for?
I think before I begin, probably it's just, if anything, strengthen the perception that people had that these guys will do whatever it takes to get what they want. And that's just a theme that has been set with a lot of politicians down here. And I think the strategy even started right from the point where they officially announced that the E-Levy bill has been passed. If you do remember, I think it was around 29th March. And on that day, there was a big distraction because the Black Stars had just sealed qualification for the World Cup. And so I think that a lot of people didn't even talk about the E-Levy that much. Everyone was talking about the Black Stars qualifying for the World Cup because they had just come off the back of a really bad Africa Cup of Nations. And Nigeria had a really great team.
It reminds me even of the budget that was passed. It was a day Ghana was playing a World Cup match.
Yeah. So even from all of these tiny steps, you can see the ploy to deceive, to try and distract the people. And I mean, yeah, long term, people still return to the E-Levy and all that. But for me, it's just been contradiction from the government, because for a government that preached, moving the economy, moving everything into a digital era, it's sort of a paradox when you come back and decide to now tax digital stuff. And so if you want people to send money on phones, you want people to be using bank accounts to pay for stuff and all that, so now you're taxing it and people are now trying to avoid it. So it's a bit weird because you're the same person who is saying that you want to ensure that every Ghanaian has moved into the digital state and all that, and now you're taking actions that are preventing them from using these digital platforms. So it was a bit surprising for me to see, but the reaction, as Sheldon said, has not been that surprising because they know that once they persist, Ghanaians will definitely get used to it and all that. But the data also suggests that the usage of mobile money has taken a very, very huge toll since the introduction of the E-Levy. And it wouldn't probably be, the average Ghanaian. Maybe the people who really cherish that little 20 cedis or 10 cedis that would be taken off their money, they will just decide not to use mobile money again. And their lives will go on without it because they do not have to depend on it maybe from where they come from. And so in the end, I think that they've shot themselves in the foot, and essentially it's just worsened how people do see them now, because one day you're preaching something and then the other day you're saying something that goes against it.
Well, we'll make ready the video of the finance minister saying we won't go to the IMF, because one of the key considerations that were made for this tax was the fact that it will give us enough revenue so that we can pay off whatever it is, the interest on our debts, etc. And subsequently, it didn't materialize. There's a conversation that this has set us back digitally in using a lot of electronic platforms to make payments. How do we reverse that? Because it's still in force. How do you think we have to reverse that to get people to patronize these platforms?
It's very simple. You have to take off the taxes. That is it. If you want people to go back to using mobile money, there is a reason why they are not using mobile money, because they are being taxed exorbitantly. If you want them to go back to using it, you make the tax favorable. You create a favorable grounds for them to use it. That is basically it. Because before the introduction of the tax, the mobile money platform, there are a lot of Ghanaians on the mobile money platform, like various network providers. They were benefiting from it, MTN, Vodafone, whatnot. Now you introduce the tax, you have seen that the numbers have reduced. Mobile money, people who use mobile money, they have reduced because now they prefer to, hold the money or put it under their bed. It is very simple. Revert it, but make we just do the system inside like that. But if you know, go do it every day. But me personally, I don't have a problem using it because it's not the 20 cedis that is going to, make me go withdraw money with maybe I'll go hold money. I don't go do. I'll pay it regardless. And you see, we get used to things like that. We complain about these things, and right now we are all paying it. Right? If you want to send money and they are charging you 1 cedi 50 pesos, however small the money, you still send the money. So yeah.
Oreku, there's a certain vibe or conversations I remember on social media when the Minister of Finance said Ghana was not going to go to the IMF, and subsequently we had to go. What sort of rave or reviews, negatively or positively, did it generate? And then how did the sites within the population on social media react to it?
I think it just goes back to my previous point as to one day they say something and then the other day, another day they say something else. And it's just pretty unfortunate that there's just a general lack of trust on social media, especially when it comes to what politicians have to say. And it's just really deteriorated to the extent that, I'm sorry to say, but a lot of people don't even take them seriously again, because there is video evidence now. We're in a social media era where there are screenshots. You can tweet something in seconds and you think you've deleted it, but people do have, they do have a collection of what you've said. And so it's almost like you have an archive of what you preach. And you cannot just come out and say anything. You cannot come out and say that you have enough and there's no way they are going to go to IMF. And then a few months later, you come back to finally concede and try and... There's no explanation that can justify that step, because what annoys people is that these people who, lead the country are supposed to be learned. You're supposed to have all the knowledge to make the projections, to see that, okay, yes, we may need IMF or we may not need them, or there is that possibility. But to confidently say that we won't go, and a few months later come and backtrack, and it was just embarrassing. And, Ghanaians have reached a point where, let me use the term, it's almost like the dead goat syndrome. Like, people just don't care anymore. People are just not bothered. Like, the commentary on social media in 2022 was so bad to the extent that people just wanted to leave. And so I remember there were quite a number of polls about whether you would want to leave Ghana and stay. Everyone wanted to leave if there was an opportunity. And that's just because they've given up on Ghana. But there is this funny way of, whenever December comes, the vibe and the diaspora coming, the year of return, it just makes Ghana look a little bit attractive, and people forget the problems in just a tiny short time span. But I'm sure in the next couple of months, people would return to the usual, where they want to probably just leave the country.
How much has government lost in terms of its public opinion rating on some of these things, especially going to the IMF when initially had announced that? I mean, if you look at the percentage, let's say 0 to 100, and then you continue from there in terms of
0 to 100,
and then you get to look at the qualitatives.
It's, I think, 0. Nobody trusts the government anymore. I don't know, even their own party people don't trust them. They don't trust their opinion. You see, this particular government, when they dig Adudi's tweet back in when he was campaigning, see some of the things this man said, and the things that, like, they intentionally go and dig it up and they come and use it against him. Like, he said a lot of things in the past and he's doing opposite. He promised a lot of things, he has not delivered. A lot of things. For example, this IMF thing, I don't know if he used that to score, they used that to score a political point or whatever they were trying to do. Then you introduce the E-Levy with the hope saying you are going to make a lot of money, generate revenue so that you wouldn't go to IMF. Then for whatever reason, you come back and tell us, oh, we are going to IMF. It's like today you say this, tomorrow you say this. There is no clear-cut path, like, as to where we are going. You say this, and you see, with that kind of government, nobody trusts you. Nobody trusts what you say. So you come and, right now, if they come and tell me that, oh, we are going to, I don't know, if they say anything, we just have to, okay, let's see how it's going to pan out. I don't trust the government, me personally. I don't trust them.
Oh, but you were a strong advocate of Nana Addo prior to 2017.
Yes, for more na timeniso. Timeniso. Because there are a lot of things that have that did, or they say for more neighbors. They can't keep doing that. You see, once you lose the trust of the people, once they don't trust you, it's like, okay, go ahead and do whatever you have to do, because at the end of the day, you have your way around it. So you go ahead and do it. But eventually, when we return to the polls, you understand.
There's a population on social media.
The interesting thing is...
You think public opinion on social media is very important?
it is important, and it's against this government. It is not favorable.
Yeah.
You see, that is why they put out a lot of political influencers, the foot soldiers.
Okay, so there are
social
influencers that are used as well.
I mean, it's you see through it. They come, it is like official. They come out there and defend the government. That is what they do. And even the people defending the government sometimes say they are boxed. They don't know what to say. It's like me, like yesterday, I was like, the job hard, I had to go bed. Because you can't keep defending the government.
Because you defend government.
I do defend.
Not because anybody has said you should, because you just like
I just like the government. I love the policies that were introduced when they were wrestling for power. They came into power and disappointed me to the core. I was still beside them, defending them. At this point, I did eat banku bed.